All right. I don't know if this is working or not, but I thought I'd give it a go. So I have just spent the last 30 minutes trying to make this connection for YouTube. So, anyways, YouTube has been giving me issues because I had the word nude in the title, and the image that I had in there was a painting that I did, and they blocked the painting. But art is supposed to be available on YouTube, and you can use art and you can demonstrate art on there, even if it includes nudity, which they don't have any special stipulations in terms of it can't be a full frontal, it can't show breasts, it can't do any of that stuff. So I'm not sure exactly what their stipulations are. I went through some of their training that they had. Anyways, this is total side note. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to work on this painting. This is a panel, PVC that, yep, that's right. It's PVC. It's just plastic. And this is for a show that I'm doing up in Salt Lake City, Utah, which is called the Plate Show. There's 300 plates that artists will paint on. And they put a price on each panel, like they might start at $100 and then they increase it by $1 per panel up to $400, something along those lines. And the really, really good paintings, they'll do an auction for those and there's no end for it. So anyways, this is what I'm doing for that show. I've done it for the last 8 years or so. Paintbrushes that I'm doing, no, I've done it longer than that, probably like 14 years. It's crazy. Every single year, 14 years. I think 60% goes to art access gallery and then 30% goes to the artist. But here's some paintbrushes that I'm going to be using. Most of them are Bristol brushes. These two right here. This is a Langnickel Royal Sable, and this is a Trekell Legion brush. And these I'm going to be using for more detailed things. But before I do any of that, I thought I would come in and I would draw out my proportions and stuff. Now, in terms of colors on the white, I have lead white. This is King Blue. This is Naples Yellow. This is a flesh tone that I created, basically a value 7. Skin tone, yellow red, 5. This is cadmium yellow, perylene red, ultramarine blue, sap green, which I won't use. This is transparent oxide brown, transparent oxide red, raw umber, and asphaltum. And then this is oleo gel that's in the bottom here. So those are the colors that I have. This is what I'm mixing on. This is what I'm going to be painting on. So let's just get this party started. So I have my reference off to the left-hand side of the screen. It's off the screen. You can't see it, which is totally fine. But I don't want to upset YouTube with having some weird stuff going on. So I'm just going to get a little bit of paint, maybe some oleo gel to kind of thin it down so that I can get my proportions right. And I'm starting out with a high chroma blue, and I'm just going to come in and paint some of this. Most of the time what I do when I'm painting is I will take just a general color and put it over the whole entire thing and paint it. I don't know if I want to do that right now, but just want to get some of this stuff, these general proportions put in here. All right, I need to drop this just a little bit more. I want to give a little bit more fullness on those legs. They felt a little bit too small, shrunken in. And then the feet are just going to kind of disappear anyways. No real details, just simple forms. All right, now that I have my general proportions, I'm going to refine just some of these little shapes here. They're just not, I'm not loving them yet. There, push that arm up and back just a little bit. And I want a little bit more curve here. There we go. All right, now to break down some of these values. Now here's the white of the canvas. I don't care to have the white of the canvas. I want to put in some values. So I'm going to go back to my big brush, this nice big one, and I'm going to get some mineral spirits and do a wash in the background. And while that's drying, that will give me some values to work with. Hope you don't mind the echo. My studio is pretty darn big. It has 20-foot high ceilings. Makes it really echoey. All right. And I'm just putting this blue down to get some type of color so I can mess around with the values a little bit better and see the shapes better. It's not going to be this light in value, but it will be, at least it's darker than the white of the panel. Now I'm going to just lay in some colors. So the values are a little bit darker here in the lower leg and also in the face and a little bit here in the shoulders. And then it gets lighter in value as it comes down. Kind of makes this fun little heart shape. Maybe I should have done this for Valentine's Day. Maybe that's what I should have done. Going to take some raw umber with some blue, ultramarine blue. And I'm going to get some white, just to give me some value. A little bit more of that raw umber. I don't want it as cold as that blue is. And I'll come in here and scrub in some values with these feet. Also with his hand, and then also the face. The head, I should say, not the face. Okay, gonna go a little bit more blue for this back. There we go. But you can tell how dark of a value this blue is in relation to the gray. It's slightly darker, and there's this nice dark abyss that kind of sits right there, this negative shape. It's between the leg and the abdomen. Make that just a little bit more blue. And now I'm going to take some of that blue, go on the outside of this leg here, just so that form can turn a little bit better. And then I'll lighten up the values as they go into the middle here. So let me clean my brush. I have no idea how long this painting is going to take me. Sometimes it's fun just to work on it. Sometimes it's not very fun because I don't know how things are going to turn out. And sometimes they turn out really bad. Sometimes they work out, though. All right, transparent oxide red, a little bit of transparent oxide yellow. Put it in these more shadow type areas to increase the chroma. Then here in the abdomen, it's a little bit more chromatic. And this drops down there for the abdomen. That goes onto that upper thigh. There for the deltoid. I think I need to bring that leg up just a little bit more. So I cleaned off my paintbrush just a little bit because it just didn't have, it had too much color on it. I want to simplify the color a little bit more. So I'm just kind of eking that leg up a little bit more. Now the wetness of this background, it's supposed to be evaporating, and it kind of is. PVC is not very absorbent. So it's more like it's streaming down into the canvas just a little bit. All right, now to put in some lighter values. Gonna take this white, some of the Naples yellow, a little bit of that flesh tone color, and I'm just gonna put some paint on there. Nothing too intense. Don't want to make it too perfect. And I want to have paint on there to work with. If I don't have any paint on the canvas, then I have nothing to work with. And if I have nothing to work with, I don't know how to adapt to the situation. It goes a little bit more blue here, so I'm actually going to take some of this king blue and some white, lighten up that value just a little bit more. Yeah, that's a better color. As it comes around the backside here, it cools down a lot more, so I'm taking some of that blue and mixing it in with that flesh tone. Same thing with the back here. The back comes a little bit more grayish. There we go. I'm working from these darker values into lighter values. It's kind of muddy or murky, but the more I play with the color or push the color, the more it will make sense. Some of that flesh tone, gonna get this arm. I need more flesh tone. More flesh tone. And I'm picking up some of this gray, which is working out great. Then it drops into the hand. All right. So it's starting to come along now. Gonna take, it's not so pink here. It's a little bit more of a Naples yellow. So I can go from this being my quote unquote mother color. I can add a little bit of yellow. I could actually add some transparent oxide yellow. To make it slightly darker in value, go here on the latissimus dorsi where it's just a little bit more yellow. And it comes into this portion which cools down a little bit more. So I'm going to go with the king blue. And I need to keep the values closer together. So I'm going to add a little bit of white. This is lead white. I think I talked about that at the beginning. That might be a light enough value. Come in here off to the side. I want to keep these cooler colors here because I'm going to warm up this area here in the abdomen a little bit later on. Right now I need those cools to go against the warms. If I were to paint this whole flesh tone really orange, it would look funky and it wouldn't look very natural. So I'm going to keep these more grayer tones, darken the value just a little bit more. That was a bit too much. And I'm going to put in some values in the face. And soften out that transition just a little bit more. There we go. And bring up this arm just a little bit more. Soften out that edge. It's coming together, people. Same thing on the hand here. Goes a little bit wider to the wrist there. And a little bit lighter here in the feet. All right, so now that I have my general colors, the grays on either end, a little bit more chroma here in the center, I'm going to finesse some of these colors and values. But of course, when I'm working on this, I want to get here as fast as I possibly can so that I can work with the details, because the devil's in the details. And it's fun to rework some of these details so that you can finesse angles and colors and shapes. Like the more I look at this needs to curve a little bit more for my liking. So I'm just gonna come in and take this darker value and bring that curve back just a little bit more. I can always go with a darker value and change it. There we go. This deltoid is looking a little bit too big for my liking right now, but that's okay. I'll finesse it a little bit later. So cleaning my brush. I'm going to add a little bit more red, so some perylene red onto this natural color that's right here. And I'm going to put it at her elbow. And a little bit at the knees. Grab a little bit more. Go right underneath that arm there. I'm going to have to push those values a little bit darker when I get the thinner brush. I don't want to do really dark values with this bristle brush because it will remove a lot of the values. And I want to do it with the lighter brush. So now I have a form here on the gastroc right here, and I want to turn that form a little bit. So I'm going to get this skin tone that I've made. Just going to put in a slightly lighter value there. Oh, I need to go add a little bit of white. Value's not quite there. Scoop up some of the paint. There we go. And then I'm going to come in with a softer brush and I can soften out that transition. So here I have this Legion by Trekkel. I like their brushes. They're located in California. I use rosemary brushes sometimes too, but The majority of the brushes that I use are Treckel. So here I'm just softening out that transition, and then I'm going to put in a darker value on this leg part. So between the gastroc and the vastus lateralis, that's that muscle right there. So fancy. A little bit too much red. Gonna go with transparent oxide yellow. That will get me close to the right value. And let's put in this shadow. All right, that's a good, nice, dark value. That leaves me some room to lighten up other values that are sitting around. I'm going to do the same thing underneath this arm here, or yeah, under the arm, on the leg. Get some more paint. And some more paint. Same thing needs to happen under this arm, because this is what is going on between the skin. The light is coming down, it's hitting this skin as it's turning, and it's bouncing onto this skin. So the light is being removed onto the thigh here. But light continues to bounce between flesh tone, and because flesh is considered to be semi-transparent, it's going to increase in chroma. It's going to decrease in value. And that chroma just happens to be really orangey. And we have edge quality to worry about too. So cast shadow is going to be a hard edge. Right there's a hard edge. Right here's a hard edge. And form shadows are going to be soft edges. So they will softly turn. Right now I'm just trying to keep it simple. So I have that division of light versus shadow. Okay, and then I'm looking here, same type of thing is going on there. I'm going to lighten it just a little bit. And it's right here on the abdomen. And then it gets lighter as it sits onto the side there. Okay, now I'm going to go for refining of this upper arm a little bit more. It needs to be slightly wider. Not whiter, wider, as in width. So I'm switching back to my bristle. I'm going to go with kind of this nice in-between gray here. And I'm going to go on the bottom side of this arm. I'm going with the form here, so that means it'll turn the form this way. That color's looking pretty good. I'm going to go back here, get some of this gray. I'm going to do the same thing to the upper part of the arm, except I'm not going to taper it as much. I'm going to just softly bring it over. There we go. And then at the forearm, it gets a little bit wider because it's pressing against that thigh. So making that a little bit wider. And then tapers down to the forearm. So there it's making it a little bit wider. Hopefully you can start seeing the form come about. The forearm and hand, that just needs a little bit more refinement. Instead of it tapering in, it kind of goes out slightly and then gets to the hand. And then you have the knuckles. And here at the foot, it gets a little bit more red. Okay, all I'm doing is I'm looking back and forth between the reference and the actual painting. I haven't made any definitive decisions yet, but I'm trying to figure out where I want to go next. And I want to work on this halftone. So the halftone or the terminator before it goes from the light into these shadows. I really like these blues that are sitting there. So I'm going to clean off my brush. Go with more of a blue. Take some of that king blue. Beautiful color. Good value too. It's not quite a value 5. It's just probably a value 6. But that's a good little color. And I'm going to go right here as it turns the form. I don't know. That looks like it needs to go darker. Okay, going for the ultramarine. I already have this color mixed in, but now I'm just making it a little bit darker and more chromatic. Let's try it again. There we go. That's so much better. Gonna do the same thing here. And then increase the chroma as it curves around to the glutes. There we go. Hopefully this stuff is going to make sense to you in a little bit. Cool some of these values down. Change the angle. This is a foot. Comes behind this other foot. I don't know if I should take the camera and zoom in on the figure or if I should keep it the way it is. I don't know. I'm trying things out. Let's see how this works out. So face needs to go darker and it needs to tuck in a little bit more. There we go. The ear is sitting right about here. So I'm going to take some of this warm color, put it there so I know where the ear is located. And then this stuff drops back. So I'm going to take some more of this blue. Some of this blue. I remember studying with Jeremy Lipking. If you don't know Jeremy Lipking, you should probably look him up. But I remember studying with Jeremy Lipking, and the things I learned from him were really amazing. I didn't have teachers that told me all these fun little things, but Jeremy had some really good tidbits of info. One of the things that he taught me or told me, I don't know if I guess he taught it to me, was relative color. And just gonna kind of open that up a little bit more. But relative color. So with relative color, you could paint the figure or an object, whatever color you wanted, as long as you made the background more chromatic or more whatever the color is that you're wanting to enhance. So instead of painting this figure orange, I might want to do it, I don't know, green. And if I did it green, I should paint the background just a little bit more chromatic of a green instead of the foreground. And that would make it look realistic. I didn't understand that. When I was an undergrad, I called myself the death painter. People called me the death painter too, because I knew how to paint dead people really, really well. I thought I would use burnt umber, just a more red version of that. And I was like, burnt umber is flesh tone. That's exactly what you need for flesh tone. But it's not. Burnt umber doesn't really do that. I mean, unless you want somebody to look like their skin is leathery. But people are like, yeah, you can just use burnt umber to be able to paint anything. I need to put this other arm in there. I erased the arm. How did I erase this arm? But I want to put this other arm in here, so I'm going to. So I thought burnt umber was the color for all things, right? But I was so wrong. Burnt umber is not the color of flesh tone. Flesh tone can be anything. Actually, it's a combination of its environment. So if you paint it here, I have blue in the background, so using these gray colors doesn't make it look so blue. It'll, when I paint gray, it'll look warm in relationship to the blue because it's not as cool as the blue that's back there. You know what, I need to bring that ear down just a little bit more. And then I'm going to paint that hair, get some oleo gel in there, make it a little bit more wet. And I'm going to flatten off the shape just a little bit more. All right, then I'm going to work on that forearm again. And take a little bit of this Naples yellow. Ooh, that went nice and green. Did you see that? So it took the blue here, Naples yellow made it green. Let's get some more of that fleshy pink in there so it's less green. And paint it above that arm. So now I'm going across the form here, and I'm going to go up the forearm as it goes across the form as I'm picking up that gray value. So it'll create a gradient as I go across that form. And because I'm not totally sold on that shape, I'm going to just do it again. There we go. Happy day. Nothing is totally defined yet. I have the latissimus dorsi that I need to come in here, so I'm just jumping around everywhere. I should stop jumping around and just pick a freaking area and do it. Okay, this is a little bit too pink, so I'm going to take some of this Naples yellow. Nope, not Naples yellow. Transparent oxide yellow. Bam, there we go. Okay, get a little bit more thickness of paint and go under the latissimus dorsi here, along with the abdomen. Get more paint. Go across the abdomen here. Yeah, buddy. One stroke. Man, who needs 10 brush strokes? Try to get it done in 1 or 2 brush strokes. It's awesome. I hope I didn't say that too loud. That's awesome. Maybe it's more creepy if I say that's awesome and it's kind of whispering it. I don't know. Then it comes up. So here I'm starting to turn some of these forms. This part gets a little bit more gray. It's less chromatic than what is going on there. So I'm going to make my way around here and here to really tie in those halftones. So instead of using this transparent oxide yellow, I'm going to go a little bit more of a gray. So I'm going to take some of this raw umber, and I'm going to take some white. Need more white. A little bit more umber, and some more white. It's okay if this white gets dirty. I'm just trying to find that right value. I need to go, let's go with some king blue. A little bit more king blue. Ooh, that value is looking pretty good. Let's give it a try. Snap-a-dap. Look at that. Man, that is such a good color. Okay, gonna do the same thing as it comes around here. Soften out that transition. need to soften out this transition just a little bit too. There we go. And then also this back part right here needs to be just slightly darker in value. Pick up some paint, throw it down there, and as it comes around the backside, I want to keep these shapes simple. If I make them too complex, and I don't think it looks as beautiful. It tends to look overworked, over-rendered. I hope this is turning out because as I'm looking at it, I'm getting some highlights on some of these parts and they're just not looking correct. But one part I need to change is that I need to straighten out a little bit more. It was too bendy. It was looking broken. I don't want it to look broken. All right, so I have these simple shapes that I've come around here, and now I'm going to start to build up my colors and values here, increasing my chroma as I go. It needs to go just slightly more gray here in the wrist. And then it increases in chroma on the hand, so I'm taking some of that red. Gonna give myself a little bit of color there. There we go. And also, same thing with the hand. It needs to go darker in value though. Okay, starting to come along. All right, cleaning my brush. Gonna come back in and refine some more shapes. All right, bristle brush clean. Now I want to build up these shapes and then these shapes. These are going to be the lightest values, so I want to do those last. I want to work on these before I get to that. Excuse me. All right. Oh, I need to get some white, people. Here's some white. Here's that flesh tone. That is a value 7, a little bit more white. Scoop it up. You see how I scooped up that paint? Scooped it up so that I can apply more paint here. Scoop it up. I'm going from those lighter values and moving outward to the darker values. It's kind of like a form of cross-hatching as I'm building up those forms. Okay, those are looking pretty darn good. Soften out this transition just a little bit more. And here, just a little bit more too. Cleaning my brush. Coming back in here. All right, so when I'm looking at these forms here, I want to define the latissimus dorsi, maybe not that much. So I'll soften it out. I've cleaned my brush. I'm just going to come in and blend these. Because I have color here, I can just drag it across and blend those two values. Right in here, it gets a little bit darker in value because the lats come up and then it divots down, makes it a little bit darker value. So instead of going more gray, I'm going to go with like a green. So I'm going to take ultramarine blue, transparent oxide, yellow. See how that makes a greenish tint? I'm going to paint it in here and kind of darken out that value just a little bit. I think I'm liking that color. Now, this is looking a little funky. I need to have this angle come up just a little bit higher, and have this come up just a little bit higher so that they meet across the back side of that arm, which means I have to take that shadow and make it a little bit bigger so that it matches up. All right, clean my brush, get rid of some of that green. Gonna go more with that transparent oxide yellow. Go underneath the lat just a little bit. There we go. Not too much. Gonna soften out those transitions. Now I need to go back to this color and throw it on there to enhance that shape again. I'm trying to use my arms here to balance and hold this in. I don't know why I'm so shaky, but I am just being really shaky right now. And just a little bit more. With some white. The lighter the value I make right here, the more it's going to turn that form. And I don't want the focus to be there. So I'm going to make some of these forms just look a little bit more natural, maybe like a fat fold that's coming across here. And then the value transitions that are going across there. And then I'm going to come back into this arm. And it goes a little bit more red. Oh, maybe that was too much red. Shiitake mushrooms. Too much red. Okay, Naples yellow. Might be a little bit too light in value, but let's go with this. Okay, there's a cylinder on the arm, so I'm going to make a lighter value here on that cylinder so that it looks like the form is turning. So if I come across there, lighten up that cylinder. Let's do it again. And now I'm going to soften out the edge of this cylinder as it goes back. Maybe just a little bit more. Scoop up some paint. There we go. Man, isn't that looking nice? I think it's looking nice. Maybe it's not looking nice. Maybe you're like, Garen, that kind of blows chunks, which would be fine, I think. Gonna do the same thing here on the forearm. Slightly lighter in value as it's coming down that forearm. And then it gets lighter right as it hits that olecranon, which is also known as the elbow. The elbow is right there. And hold on, I need to use my palette knife and cut into this white. It's already skinned over. So if you ever have white that is skinned over, you can just take the skin off like that. I know it looks so good. Then you can just dive into the paint. So here I have some white. The nice thing about lead white too, and this is why I love lead white. No, I don't sniff it. No, I don't eat it. So if I don't sniff it and if I don't eat it, it's not going to be very toxic to me. If I'm using it to paint with, it's good. It's okay. You can use it to paint with. I'm going to go back in and get some of this red. But lead white, the reason why it's so good, besides the resiliency of the paint film that it creates with oil, that's one of the great reasons I use lead white. The other is due to simplicity. I need to get just slightly simplicity of value. It slowly pushes, because it's not that strong of a color, it slowly pushes the value up a little bit more. Need to make just like this simple little V shape. That might have been too much. Okay, so I'm going to clean my paintbrush. But lead white, phenomenal, especially with flesh tones. And I don't want to make this too obvious with the elbow, so it's poking out too much. Just want to simplify it. I want to make this part just a little bit more blue on that forearm. So I'm going to come in here, no, that's too red. So what happens if I make it more purple? That's totally fine. I'll make it more purple. And maybe I need to soften out those edges now. This white is just falling, so I'm removing it. All right, it's coming along. So now that I have part of that forearm figured out, I want to put a slightly darker value here because I really want that cylinder to turn. And right now it's not really turning that much. So I'm going to take some more of this violet and put it here. There we go. Now it's starting to turn that form a little bit better. And notice I'm using a soft brush. I'm not using a bristle brush because right now I'm wanting to be very subtle in the forms. I don't want to make too many changes in the arms. I want it to look like a cylinder that's turning. And if I use a bristle brush, I might remove some of that paint as opposed to putting it on there. So bristle brushes, great for laying in paint and color. You don't want to use bristle brushes for too much detail unless you're really laying on the paint. So here I just want to bring this up and make the shoulder just a little bit shorter. Sables are great for detail. Bristle brushes, not so much. I'm going to cut into that just a little bit. All right. Now I'm going to refine that back arm just a little bit more. Again, using the sable. And it's slightly darker in value. Going to go from the wrist and pull it down to that forearm shape. Going to do the same thing, except I need to have a little bit more red. There we go. Can I solve this equation to prove you're not AI? 4 plus 2 equals question mark, huh? I didn't know 4 plus 2 equaled question mark. Or is that the thing that I'm supposed to answer to prove? Colin said Pikachu. Oh my gosh, Colin. Pikachu is the correct answer. All right, so turning the form now of that forearm as it's going back into space. Here we have this form that's turning a little bit. I can start to build up more colors and values in the leg and then refine some more values. Because I'm going to be using more paint, you're accepting Pikachu as the correct answer? That's great. Good work, Colin. Going to take some of this. It goes a little bit more of Naples yellow with some more white. And that is back here. So if I go with this lighter value, scoop it up. So I'm trying to get a higher chroma that's sitting here on the thigh so that the form really, really turns. And if I don't get that lighter value and higher chroma, it won't feel like it's turning. I can start off with this thicker paint, and then I can start to blend it in both directions. Plus, Colin, what are you doing on here? Aren't you supposed to be studying right now? You're multitasking. That's great. All right. Just softly turning out that form. I need to soften out this edge just a little bit more. There we go. And this edge just a little bit more. Now I'm going to really make that form pop. Going to take some more white. It cools it down. A little bit more. Scoop that up. Now I'm going cross contour because I want to describe that form just a little bit more as I'm going around it. And this value set is not here in this lower leg, so I need to be careful not to get that same portion. So I'm going to mix it in with these other colors and values, but making them a little bit lighter. Scoop it up. Let's give it a try. That could work. There we go. And then redefine this shape. Yeah, buddy. Man, this stuff is just coming together. All right. I'm going to make sure that my distance is correct. So I'm going to go from shoulder to elbow to fingers. That seems to be about right. And I'm going to drop this shoulder just a little bit more. I just feel like this rolling shape is just a bit too much. So there we go, a little bit more of an angle. If you know me in my painting. I love to paint to music. And this is really hard for me to work on a painting and not have any music. I almost don't know what to do with myself. So if I start beatboxing or something, please tell me to stop. All right, now I'm going to refine some of the shadow areas again. So this blue comes in from the shadows of the figure, goes into that shadow shape. Same thing with here. It's a little bit more blue. Thanks, Colin. Sounds good. So maybe that's what I need to do, is stop listening to music and improve in my craft. Just taking this slightly darker value, redefining these shadow shapes just a little bit more. The heel of one versus the foot of the other. So if you are interested in buying this painting, it will be available at Art Access next month, I think is when it is. The shadow be placed on the arm. And then also the hand needs to go darker in value because it's getting more in the shadows. Same thing with this upper leg. And also this part of the lower leg needs to be in the shadows more. There we go. And then we have this more blue abyss. I need to make that a little bit bigger. So this needs to drop down here a little bit more. Divot in, out. There we go. It's a much better shape. Colin, I don't know what WarioWare is. Is that a game? All right, and now I have to turn these values just a little bit more in that abdomen so that it doesn't look like it's an abrupt change. So let's go with something cooler, because it's not really hitting anything warm on that edge. So I'm just gonna go cool, turn that form, go cool, turn this form. A character named Jimmy T. This painting reminds you of Jimmy T. Is that a compliment? Oh man, so funny. All right, cleaned off my brush, going in more with this warm shadow value. Oh, he has a big blue afro. Fancy. Wiping off my brush, gonna get, whoops, I bumped it. I bumped the stand. Sorry, people. And now it gets really chromatic as it hits that edge. And again from the other side. And a slightly darker value. A little bit more red chroma to go here, just a little bit. And then I need to lighten up that value on the abdomen. Well, I guess you could think that she has a big blue afro or big blue hair, something along those lines. Okay, I think that I'm done refining some of these parts. Let's see if I can put in just a couple more little details, just a sliver here and there. That was too big of a sliver, for the love of Pete. Don't want to make it look like she's bleeding. So cleaning my brush, coming back in here, gonna soften out. Soften out that shape, and here just a little bit more. So I don't want to make too many big changes. I do want to change the angle of this shadow that's being cast onto her abdomen. Because right now it's too, it ends at the same spot, and I don't want it to end at the same spot. So I'm going to take some of this darker value and make this cast shadow drop just a little bit more. Maybe it goes onto the abdomen there. There we go. It's a little bit better. And then the crease of the arm. I'm going to remove the paint, clean my brush, come back up here, soften. That's the joy of having paint on the canvas, is you can manipulate it just like that, change forms and shapes. If you don't have any paint on there, it makes it really hard to make those changes in forms and shapes. Okay, now I need to put in some more of the background color to make sense of all this stuff. Before I do that, I'm going to refine the hand just a little bit more. This hand needs to go slightly darker in value and have my angle change That is too dark in value, so let's go lighter with a little bit of red. A little bit of red. And then we need to go even more light. And a little bit lighter. Okay, starting to dig it. There are a couple of other things that I need to slightly change. This gets just a little bit too grayed out, so I'm going to warm that up. And then soften out that transition. Take a brush, soften that out. Ooh, maybe that was too much. No, I'm kind of liking it. It's good enough. Okay, and then over here, soften out those values. I'm going to put in that warm color again. Sorry if I keep bumping the camera. It took me like 45 minutes to try to figure out how to set this thing up. There we go. And then I want to soften out the transitions that are going there. Okay, I think I know where I'm hitting it, or why I'm hitting it, where I'm hitting it. So every time I try to clean my brush, I end up moving the camera. And a little bit more red at the heel. It's a very important part. If you don't get that red in the heel, it won't read as a heel. At least I don't think it will. Maybe it will. All right, now to do some of the background. Maybe. Sorry, I have to change gears. I'm still not liking this hand. The shadow shapes have gotten removed, so I need to put the shadow shapes back in. Shadow there. Shadow there. Shadow there. All right, now we have the face that we need to, the head, the face area that needs to be rendered out. And then I will clean up the rest of this stuff. So if I go with this, a little bit of raw umber, a little bit of oleo gel so that it can kind of stick. I'm going to go with this darker value sitting here. And then I have some areas that are just looking a little funky in this face. So I'm going to rework some of those values in the face first before I start to get into that hair. All right, going to add a little bit of red. Rosy up these cheeks just a little bit. And then I need to darken the value here at the neck. Darken the value. Darken the value. And leave a little bit of a jawline there. Just trying to refine these shapes just a little bit more because the face is just not making sense yet. And it will. Believe me, you. Believe you, me. It will. So that ear, I need to darken the value. And then I'm going to turn this form just a little bit better. Flatten it out. There we go. That looks so much better. Sorry, Colin, I just saw what am I going to do with her hair? I am going to make abstract shapes with her hair. Okay, I'm liking the face a lot more. Let's jump into the hair. So I want to have some paint here to deal with. I'm going to go slightly darker. This might be too dark of a value, but it'll mix in with the underpaint and will allow for me to render out some of this form a little bit better. Soften the edge there. There we go. It doesn't have to be too detailed. Colin, maybe I should just leave it as a afro. What do you think? I need to make her neck a little bit smaller. Right now it looks really big, nice and thick. I don't want to make it thick. Give her Jimmy's hair. I'd have to look up Jimmy's hair and see what it looks like. But I probably could. Okay, I think I know what I need to do here. There I need to warm it up a little bit more so that it looks like the neck is turning this direction. Instead of right now, it's so flat. It looks flat, it doesn't have any dimension. So I need to switch to warm colors. I should say warmer colors. So slightly warmer color, darker value. No, warmer. Then I need to soften up that jawline. Cleaning my brush. There we go. So much better. Okay, the next question I have, should I make this surrounding area all washy and a more chromatic blue, or should I go with like a black abyss? I'm not sure which one I want to do. And maybe I'll break this up into 2 sessions. I don't know. I'll give it a go. Let's see how it works out. So I'll put in the background color, really kind of clean things up. I'll go with this sable. It's kind of smaller, but take some of this blue. Let's see what happens when I go really blue. Take some oleo gel. Wow, that is really blue. Dark red. That could be interesting. Okay, so here's the problem. If I go dark red around the whole thing, then she'll look more dead. If I go with something cooler, maybe like a violet or something, she wouldn't look as dead. At least that's what I think in my experience of painting, which has not been very much. I mean, I'm pretty new at this stuff. 15 years, baby. 15? Maybe longer than that. I don't know, it's been a while. But dark red could be a good value. So I'm gonna try out this ultramarine blue and just see how it turns out. It might not turn out very good. A little bit of oleo gel. So the reason why I use the oleo gel is it makes the paint go on a lot easier. And this is the sucky part about Langnickel. I don't know if you can see that, but there's this little hair from the paintbrush. And this has been well known to get hairs in your paints, which is why these brushes are no bueno. I'm surprised I still have some, actually. I thought I got rid of all of them, but I was like, you know what? It would be fun to try this thing out. Sorry, I'm moving the camera back. So that you can see it a little bit better. More paint, come on. Like an ocean with cool colors. Yes, just like an ocean with cool colors. It's hard to work on painting and then also read what people are saying. Man, I should just get a bigger brush. All right, I'm taking this bigger brush. I'm gonna go with the ultramarine blue. I don't know if you can hear the popping, but that's popping of my shoulder. I damaged my right deltoid from playing pickleball. People don't play pickleball. Actually, you should play pickleball. It's better to play pickleball than to do nothing, but I played pickleball. See, look at that. This weird shape that's coming up here. That's from ling nickel. Freaking ling nickel. Got to get rid of all those. So pickleball, again, I start talking about pickleball and then these hairs just pop up out of nowhere. Maybe I should stop talking about pickleball. Maybe the hairs will never show up, but they do. Okay, all I'm doing this off screen, but I'm taking the hairs out of the paint layer. All right, now that I'm looking at these blues in relation to the skin tone, those blues are not really in the skin tone. And so I think that it's not doing it justice. Okay, I'll check my email here in a little bit. Colin, thanks. Maybe what I need to do is, instead of doing such a high chroma blue, just decrease the chroma by adding some umber to it. I think I'll do that. All right, I'm doing it. Taking some umber, adding it to the blue, more umber. Switching arms. My right arm is getting sore. Okay, that's looking better. Less chromatic. It's really scratchy though. So how do I decrease my scratchiness if I don't want all these scratchy brush marks? Use a sable brush. That's right. Whoever said that. I know somebody said it. Somebody should have said it. There's another ling nickel hair, for the love of Pete. There's another one. Holy hot diggity. I don't know if I got that one off or not, but no, it doesn't look like I did. Oh my goodness. I'm trying not to swear here, people, but this is just ridiculous. Okay, word of the wise, don't use ling nickel brushes. Sound good? No ling nickel. You'll get hairs all over your painting that you didn't really want. Okay, so that's getting close to the right chroma and value. Slightly darker. I'm gonna have to Well, let me try a different brush here in a second. I'll use a sable brush. The nice thing about a bristle brush is you can get these little scratchy marks that are on the canvas, and that can help describe background shape and form or create a texture. And I want to create that texture, especially in the hair. All right, now I'm gonna find a better brush. See if I can find a good sable. All right, here's a sable from Mary, Rosemary brushes. A little bit of umber and a little bit of oleo gel. Now, if I wanted to do 2 layers, or if I was really trying to make these 2 layers, see, that's still scratchy. For the love of Pete. Some of these hairs are still from Langnickel. All right, yeah, because I'm having issues with this darker value, I could do another layer of, could let it dry, do another layer of a same value, and it would create this beautiful shimmering effect in the background because it would be a glazed layer. And this is just kind of scratching the surface. It also might be due to the oleo gel. But if you don't want scratchy surface, use a very, very soft brush. And you use a surface that will hold on to the paint a lot better. This is not wanting to hold on to the paint very well. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the Langnickel because it's smaller, and I'm gonna refine some of these shapes just a little bit more. And I don't like that hand. I still don't like that hand. Maybe it's the shape. think it might be the shape. It also might be the color. I don't think it is gray enough yet. All right, well, just a little bit more, and then I'm going to soften out some of these edges. This needs to be higher in chroma. Darker in value, create that hole that is in there. Okay, so as of right now, yeah, it is kind of like she's laying in tall grass. I don't know. Okay, maybe I'll just keep pushing. I'll try to finish this thing off because I'm not sure I'm loving it yet, but that's all right. Every painting has its parts that you can love or hate. So there's a leg that is sitting right here that is further back, and it comes down into this heel. It's a soft transition. And then we have the shadow shapes that are right here. That's going to be a harder transition. All right. I'm going to turn this form just a little bit. Yeah, maybe she is sitting in tall grass or an ocean grass or something like that. I'm not sure. All right, so this leg got in there. It goes slightly darker down here, but I think I want her to have the sensation of floating, like she's floating, because I don't, if I wanted more stability, I would want to paint cast shadows underneath here. But I think that having her float is more entertaining. And maybe I can increase the texture. I'm going to let it dry for a little bit before I do any of the textures, but I'm going to get some paint off of here, go back here. Maybe I'll add some blue and define just a little bit more here. More blue. I'm going to define this core just a little bit better. All right. Just a couple more shade changes. Really want to turn that form. Same thing with here on the knuckles. Just soften out those edges. Same thing with the hand up here, just needs to be cooler. Because I feel like it's just too warm. Along with the wrist. Along with the hand that's changing form here. All right. I'm thinking I will thinking I might just finish it up here and then call it a day. Yeah, because I'm looking at the camera and some of these values are really getting blown out. So these values right here are just a little bit too light. Then these are getting really violet. I'm not turning the form as well as I could, but I don't know. I guess all things could work out if I keep going, or I could totally mess it up, which would also be fine. And I don't know if I want to have, yeah, I'm going to give it a go. Okay, there's one part of her shoulder here that kind of dips back. And I think I want to exaggerate that just a little bit more. Also, I want to soften out this shoulder shape here. And gray down another part that's up here. And another part here. All right. I think I'm going to call it a day because, well, no, I won't call it a day. I'm going to refine this hair shape and then I'll probably call it a day because I'm going to need to let this background dry and then I'll do another layer of like a glaze, another layer over it so that it will be this dark abyss that she's floating in. So I'm going to clean off this brush. Add some ultramarine blue. And this color and value might not stick very well. I'm gonna get some raw umber so that it has a little bit more sticky. Yeah, there we go. A little bit more stickiness to it, but it's still not sticking very well. More raw umber, more paint. Outside, it's really pouring right now. Man, how did my camera fall so much? There we go. It's pouring out there, but I'm trying to take advantage of my time in the studio and really work things out. Oh, I'm liking those softer transitions a lot more. Now, you might ask yourself, why does it have 2 holes in the top there? Or maybe you didn't ask yourself that, but you might ask me. Maybe some people just don't care. But because this is for a show up in Salt Lake, they used to have old printing presses, and these sheets for the old printing presses about 15 years ago when they started doing the show. And they have these holes located in here. So for the whole show, they have 2 little nails that are there, and you take the art piece and you hang it on it. So it doesn't come framed or anything. And that's how they started doing it. Now, they don't have those plates anymore for the printing presses. And so they just ask the artist to make the same size plate and then cut out the holes. So that's what I did. There are some people that have been collecting for years from this show, and so they just have a whole wall that has these 2 nails that come out from it, and they just collect a bunch of artwork from the show. And it's really not that much to spend $300 or $400. At least I don't think so on a painting. But over time, that could add up to a lot of money. Especially there's some big names that are in the show. At least big names for the state of Utah. Okay, I need to soften out some of those shapes with the hair. So I'm cleaning my brush. Between the hair and the face, I should say. That looks better. All right, now the lower jaw. Okay, better. Now let's do the hand. I tell you what, my fruit trees are really enjoying this rain right now. We haven't had rain for a couple of weeks. Other places this time of year get a ton of rain. But no, not here in St. George. I think we get 8 inches of annual rainfall. So trees don't like the minimal amount of rain. But that's why we water them. Just like grass. Oh, grass. Except grass takes a lot of water. Just because the root system is not very drought tolerant. But okay, sorry, I digress. I'm talking about fruit trees and I'm working on a painting. I'm just trying to figure out the form of this hand and make it look more convincing. What if I just kind of erased it? I don't know. Do I want to erase it? Maybe I just need to make it a darker value. Yeah, I think I need to make it a darker value on the face too. And maybe a little bit darker. Keep pushing it, dude. Keep pushing it. Okay, I guess I need to go darker. And a little bit darker in the neck. Gosh, I really do not like that hand. It's no bueno. All right, I'm gonna take this and make that the same shadow shape. That back leg. There we go. Really flattens out that space. Makes it more interesting. I think it makes it look more interesting if I flatten out all these shadow shapes. And then I need to darken the value here in the hair. Darker, not lighter, darker. All right, and then a little bit of the stylus that's sitting right here. And the olecranon. All right, need to warm up that value on the olecranon just a little bit more. AKA the elbow. All right. A little bit more on that hair. Because I changed that face just a little bit more. I'm liking the face value and color a lot more now. Just kind of softening out these other shapes. Gosh, that freaking hand. It's so bad. I think I know why that hand is so bad. I've dropped down this part just a little bit too much. You just give everyone mittens? Maybe I should just give everyone mittens. Give all the paintings mittens. No, I just need to see the shape better. I need to figure out what these shapes are just a little bit more. Actually, I think I might have just done it. Now I just need to soften it out more. All right. I think I've said that multiple times now, thinking that I'm going to be done. That's the problem with painting is, are you ever really done? I mean, really? I guess, yes, you are or should be done. But I know, like, intentionally, I'm not completely done. I have a couple other things I need to do. And I might decide to come in and redesign or repaint some other shapes. That was too dark. It's okay. Soften out the transitions a little bit more. Okay, well, at least if anything, this is a good little start. Should be a good little finish, but it's a good little start. And I'm gonna take some of this and just pull it down into this background color value to kind of soften out those edges. And I don't care to see the bottom of the feet, because those are not very important shapes. Same thing with the back. Oh, hey, this is looking pretty good. Less scratchy, kind of softening out some of those proportions and values. There we go. Yeah, I'm kind of digging that a little bit more. It's less abrupt and less contrasty. Is that even a word? There's less contrast, a little bit more ambiguity. I think that's a word, ambiguity. Just kind of killing all of these harder edge textural shapes, because I don't want that to be the focus. I want that to be a support for the rest of the painting. I should have used like, I don't know, some drying medium to do all this. I could do this left-handed. Maybe I can't. If I had dry medium, this would dry a lot faster, and then I'd be able to come back in tomorrow and work on the painting, but it's okay. This thing isn't due for another month. I thought I'd just get a start on it and see where I could go with it. Okay, left-handed is not as effective. For me, at least. I know some of you out there are left-handed and you're like, what? How could you possibly paint with your right hand? I don't know. I was just born that way. Or was I? Maybe I was trained to do everything with my right hand. But why would I? My dad was left-handed. And at times I'm ambidextrous, so I will paint with my right hand, and sometimes I'll paint with my left. Right now, it just feels weird painting with my left. And lately I've been playing pickleball with my left hand because of my right shoulder injury that I never finished telling you the story about. I injured my right shoulder playing pickleball. We were playing in some heavy wind, and I tried to get the ball over the net. I mean, we were hitting 20-mile-an-hour winds, and it was really fun, but I hit it really, really hard, and for some reason got an impingement in my left posterior deltoid. That's this part. And man alive, that really hurt. I'm gonna soften that value on the nose. Just remove it. Yeah, just remove the nose. You don't need the freaking nose. All right, I'm liking this a lot more. The texture is lessened. The chroma has decreased. The value has flattened itself out, made it a little bit more interesting. There are just a couple of other little shapes that I would like to change. But overall, I feel like this is a good process with the painting. I didn't spend too much time here. I don't think I did. I don't even know how much time I've spent on this. Maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours? Yeah, I can't see on my recorder. Oh, no, it's been a little over 2 hours. Okay, sweet. So, a little over 2 hours for this painting, but I will finish it up probably at a later time. I probably won't stream it. Maybe I should. Maybe I should take this and stream it. The other thing I forgot to do is record this locally, but maybe I can just go on and download it since it's on my channel and edit the video a little bit later. But overall, I feel like that's a good stopping point. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Hello, everyone. I really need to get this camera thing figured out because it seems like it's just falling. Okay, there we go. Yes, Colin, I did learn a lot today, and yes, I probably will stream again. So, thank you everybody for joining me in the process, and maybe I'll stream and try to finish this painting up at a later date. But right now, just not digging it with the PVC. I'll remove these clamps here off camera and then continue to paint over there so that I have a good consistent shape and background tone for everything. Frentis, thanks for finding my channel. I'm happy that you did too. Everybody have a stellar day. Thank you.